You're listening to the Cryptid Creature Show. If you're a fan of the show, go and check out our new Patreon site. You'll get access to our private Discord server, exclusive merchandise, access to all live streams and Q&As, discounts on merch from the Cryptid Creature store, and get a chance to be a guest host during one of the show's recordings. Just go to patreon.com/Cryptid Creatures. Thank you for listening and supporting the show.
We had gone through the Oregon caves. It was all cool. The whole family went into the gift shop. I stayed out of the gift shop because I spotted deer. I suddenly felt like a chill in the back of my head, kind of like when you know someone's watching you or something weird's going to happen. I turned around and looked up the embankment, and I saw something very tall, dark, and hairy, standing behind a tree, just barely peeking out, and then back again when I looked up.
This is the Cryptid Creature Show. I am Brian, and with me, as always, my co-host Todd. What's up, buddy?
Brian, my friend, tonight we have a great episode coming up. We're bringing on Rae. And Rae had an encounter in Oregon, around the Oregon caves, down there in the southern Oregon area, I believe.
Nice.
Is where that's located. So, yeah, it's good to have a good Bigfoot encounter back on the show. I know we've been back and forth a little bit.
Yep.
Had a little dog-man interaction going on, but we always love the Bigfoot encounters. And I think she had some more things going on, maybe a little alien or something else.
UFO, very cool.
That's UFO type thing going on. So,
nice.
With that said, are you ready to bring Rae on and see what's going on with her?
Yep, let's get her.
There I am.
Hey, Rae. How are you?
Hello. All right.
Hi, Rae.
Now.
How you doing?
Good. How about you?
Good. Thanks for being here with us tonight.
You're welcome.
Before we get rolling into what you've experienced in your encounters, do you mind giving us a little bit of background and tell us about yourself?
Yeah, sure. My background is pretty normal until it wasn't. Let's see, I guess around, when was it? 2009. My background has always been with UFOs and ETs. And just recently, other than a brief encounter 20 years ago, it's been more about the Sasquatch people, which is a weird thing because I was more into the ETs and never even believed that Sasquatch were real. But I'd say it all started around, just briefly, 2009. I was driving on a road and saw a huge UFO up close where you could see some of the detail, which resulted in me almost driving off the side of the road and hitting a mailbox. After that, pretty much nothing until 2013 when I became very, very ill. I was supposed to be put in the hospital and put on life-saving measures and not expected to make it. I refused to go to the hospital. I felt that if I went to the hospital, intuitively, I wasn't coming back out. So being with a background of initially religious, but now spiritual, I said a prayer that night and said I was not going to give up, but I'm not going to the hospital. And I put my hands in God's hands, so to speak, faith. And that night I woke up on a ship, and the short story is I was healed. The next day I was healed. And the doctors didn't know what was going on. And my medical charts were about this thick because they had done previous tests. So after that, I got interested in, obviously, ETs and UFOs with no questions, with so many questions. And so I spent a whole year doing research on UFOs and ET experiences. Then after that year, it kind of faded out, losing interest. But before I could lose interest, I started seeing UFOs again. Not in detail, but, bright lights in the sky. I saw giant orbs in the daylight. Most of my sightings were daytime, believe it or not, probably so it wouldn't scare me. And then after a year of seeing UFOs, probably 1 to 3 months apart throughout that entire year, I had a visitation in my room. And by then, this was 2013, probably around 2015, I started having visitations in my room by highly spiritual ETs. So what I did was I called MUFON. I couldn't figure out what was going on. I had no one to talk to because back then you were pretty labeled as crazy if you talked about it, especially with family members. So I kept it all to myself. I contacted MUFON to report my sightings, and the gentleman at MUFON, who was the director of 3 counties, said that's unusual to have more than one sighting in a lifetime and more visitations in a lifetime than one. So that you report. I mean, I know that there are many people that grow up where they have a history in their family of UFO abductions, but this wasn't like that. Well, I didn't think it was until I found out recently that my mother, when she was pregnant with me, she was always having dreams of UFOs landing in the front yard. So I guess things are connected. So MUFON told me to get in touch with one of 2 people, Dr. Stephen Greer or Dr. Joseph Burks. And I researched them both and kind of resonated more with Dr. Joseph Burks. And Dr. Joseph Burks, who's well known in the UFO community, guided me through it, let me know I wasn't crazy, that there were thousands of people going through it as well. And that's that. So now that's my background. So I'm still involved in ET contact, the CE5 groups, the Rama ET contact groups, and just contacting them on my own. I've always been highly sensitive. I've always been empathic. And some have called me psychic. I kind of like to call it being telepathic. But so I have a history of that anyway. So that's it. But talking about Sasquatch, in about 2000, in about 2000, which was 24 years ago, I was on vacation up north at the Oregon Caves with family, and I had a sighting of what I felt was a Sasquatch. And this was before all the ET stuff, before talking to other people about it, about the ET contact. What happened was we were at the Oregon Caves. We had gone through the Oregon Caves. It was all cool. The whole family went into the gift shop. I stayed out of the gift shop because I spotted deer and went to explore the deer at the end of the parking lot. And while I was about 6 feet from the deer, because they were very tame up by the Oregon Caves, I suddenly felt like a chill in the back of my head, kind of like when you know someone's watching you or something weird's going to happen. You might get the chills on your arms or the back of your hair stands up. A lot of people experience that. And that's basically telling your intuition that something's amiss, something's not right. You're picking up on that. And for some reason, it didn't really frighten me. It just kind of surprised me because I hadn't felt that really, not a lot, except when you're in dangerous situations. But when I looked at the deer, they didn't act like they were in danger. They didn't even have the hair on the back of their head or back was not standing up. They were still like munching on grass, just kind of looking up. So because I felt it on the back of my head, the tingling, I turned around and looked up the embankment and I saw something very tall, dark and hairy, just standing behind a tree, just barely peeking out and then back again when I looked up. And again, when you do that, all of a sudden your senses become alert and the hair on the back of your head stands up again. But again, I looked back at the deer to see what they were doing. And they were doing nothing. They were just kind of munching on grass. And I turned back up to look at the hill and it was gone, whatever it was. Because I also have a background in exotic animals. I went through exotic animal training at a local college. care and handling of animals. I've been around animals all my life. I knew it wasn't a bear. It wasn't a bear. Besides, I've been in close contact with bears, and one of the first things, if you have a good nose, is you can smell them. I did not smell anything. And what's weird, which really was the strangest thing about this encounter, was that the whole the forest ground was covered with leaves and twigs and sticks. So if you walk on it of any weight, even little birds going across it, you can hear. And I did not hear it leave. It was like it just disappeared. So that was it.
Were you upwind or downwind from that?
Oh, I couldn't even tell you. I don't remember. 20 years ago. Yeah. I mean, perhaps I would have, if, like you said, I was downwind from it. But
well, the deer didn't alert either, so that's why I was wondering.
No, they didn't. They seemed fine, and I went on their vibes. Right. Yeah.
So the Oregon caves, are those the ones close to the California border that you're talking about, south of Grants Pass?
Yes. And a little farther from there, from the Oregon caves, along a side route, more centrally located in the Oregon, is the vortex. I forgot what it's called, something vortex. It's a place where you go and someone will, there's like strange magnetic energy, and some people can feel it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We had just been there first, and then had some more time in the day and drove to the Oregon caves. Mm-hmm. And even there at that vortex area, one lady that I saw leaving when we walked in was nauseous and dizzy. And I go, what's up with her? But then I got a little dizzy and weirded out by it. But I stayed anyway because of my curiosity. And one of my relatives also felt a little strange. But that was that. And later I found out that there may be a connection to that vortex and the Sasquatch.
I was just wondering that myself.
Yeah.
If there's some kind of weird portal or something going on there that we don't know about.
That's what I'm thinking now. What happened about 6 months ago in April, I had another Sasquatch experience, which I really haven't talked much about. I mean, it's on my YouTube channel, but it was pretty out of this world. And this is different because it didn't happen accidentally. And I know that, I don't believe in accidents or coincidences. I don't believe in that. But this is something where my curiosity got the best of me. After all these years, I'm like all into ETs and UFOs, and all of a sudden I kept going back. What about that Sasquatch? And I kept seeing Sasquatch and cryptid groups on Facebook and, and the podcasts, and kind of going, And then I remembered what happened 20 years ago, and I kept thinking, what's going on? So what I did was I utilized the techniques I learned for ET contact, which is mostly telepathy, contacting them with telepathy and empathic ability, which we all have. And I combined those skills to cook up a scheme by myself to go into the woods nearby and see if I could call in a Sasquatch, which is kind of crazy because I was by myself. But again, I've never really been that fearful, because I think a long time ago I learned that the fear response is created by the unknown. That which we don't understand creates fear in us. And then I recently learned with this recent experience with the Sasquatch people, that many people might have horrible fear of running into a Sasquatch that, if you believe in them, for those listening, some might, this lady's crazy, but a lot of people have a huge fear factor, or they go into panic. They shut down, they go into shock if they meet an ET face-to-face or a Sasquatch face-to-face. And part of the reason that I found out recently that that's occurring is that fear is because the Sasquatch or the ETs are vibrating energy-wise at a different vibration that does not match your own. And so you're intuitively picking up on it. You know, when you walk into a crowd of people at a party, some person over here seems to have incredible charisma. You're drawn to them. Others, you're like, oh, this is you picking up on their energy. So the same thing happens with the ETs and the cryptids. But multiply that by 10 times or more, depending on how sensitive you are. So this guy's walking down in the forest and he comes across a Bigfoot very close by, and he suddenly starts to go into panic mode. And it's probably because intuitively his body is picking up on a higher vibration, the higher energy field, which causes the panic. It's kind of like our natural fear. What humans have is a natural flight or fight response. It's a fear response. So you might not be in control of it. So when I do this, I understand the energies, which makes it less fearful for me.
Totally makes sense. And you just kind of said something that kind of hit home with me a little bit about energy and these creatures. And we talk about how they can cloak, and they can maybe sometimes people think they can form the orbs, and they're the orbs floating around, and they can have different shapes and whatnot to them, and different forms in themselves. What if they're a creature that just absorbs energy and can use that energy to do that? What if that's, it would
be
change
more
their vibration with the energy, because people talk
there
about,
you go.
People talk about, well, I'm around and my cell phone goes dead, and my battery, every piece of equipment I have, it goes dead. It's like they just suck all the energy around that's there.
So it's not that they're absorbing it. I mean, an empath will absorb energy, so to that effect. But what you're describing, I think, more is they are affecting the energy. They're manipulating the energy. So an orb goes overhead, and this happened to me before, where there was a party in the house in front of me, down kind of the lower level house. And they were having a party, and it was a party with about 30 kids in the backyard. And they were playing radio, making, music. And all of a sudden I saw, and this was right after I had done a CE5, which is Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, where I was trying to communicate with ETs, and it was unsuccessful. So I just went, what the heck? I'll just go outside. And they're doing this party outside. And this orb came overhead. It was like a giant star at about the level of 300 feet in the air. And it very slowly hovered over the party below, and almost eyesight with me. And I'm like, what the heck? And I heard, and I got on tape, because I whipped out my camera. I got on tape one of the kids going, Mommy, there's a giant star, a moving star. So they saw it. I got that on tape. But what's interesting about what you said is I believe it was of such a high energy field that it messed up their radio, and it shut off their radio, and it was static.
Before we get into your UFO experiences and ET experiences, why don't you tell us about your YouTube channel?
I have a YouTube channel. It's you just go to YouTube. It's Rae Dove. Just Rae Dove, actually.
Okay. Just
type in Rae Dove and you'll come to my channel. And I talk about different aspects, because I've had a lot of experiences with the spirit on the spiritual side of the highly spiritually advanced ETs, because not all of them are spiritually advanced as that. Of course, they're all probably more spiritually advanced than we are to some extent, but I cover different things about spirituality. It's all things that I've learned from the experiences I've had of the paranormal, and I'm just sharing them as much as possible.
Okay, great.
But what I did not finish saying is that in April, I had gone out into the woods to see if I could connect with the Sasquatch people. I started about a week earlier, putting my intentions out there telepathically. And then when the day came, I went to the spot that kind of led me to it. I sat down, I meditated to calm myself and get into the right state of consciousness to connect with them, thinking that I'm in the middle of a city in a park, a 500-acre park. I'm in the middle of the city or a suburb. There's houses around. And there's never been Sasquatch reported in my area. So I thought, they're not going to show up, but at least I can connect with them telepathically, maybe. But they did show up. And what we were talking about earlier, that they could use portals, what I believe happened when they did show up, because I felt the energy, and the energy that was being created around me was so strong, I started getting nauseous and dizzy and got a headache. And a normal person that hasn't prepared themselves, knowing that this can happen, would have probably gotten really scared and got up and walked out of the woods. I didn't even have my dog with me. I was just out there by myself with my video camera. But they did show up. But what happened first was the area got really, really cold. All the animals that were running around me, the squirrels, the birds, the lizards, the little insects, they all disappeared. They disappeared. Everything got cold. I felt cold, even though it was in the 70s. And then after that, telepathically, I got the image of the face of one, telepathically. And they did have a message with me. I guess if you go to my YouTube channel, there's an episode about it, and you can read what their message to humanity was. But the main thing that was just overwhelming was that I found out that the way they appeared there, I believe strongly that they had help from ETs, that it got cold because ships above many times can cover an area with an energy field. It's a protective energy field. The Rama group they call it a Zendra. I think it's a Zendra, something like that. But and sometimes it can look like a cloud, and some people might call it like a portal, but it's created by the ship above you, and it's brought, kind of beamed down. And I believe that's what they put over the area. And that's why, and then of course, with the Sasquatch appearing, maybe they were brought in from the spaceships, or maybe a portal opened in the safe space, but the energy was pretty high. And also I learned too that they are not shapeshifters, but can fade in and out of this dimension of reality for protection. And I've also learned too, which is interesting, is that, people have never really found evidence of Sasquatch. So, us humans don't really believe something unless we see it. So many people say they're not real because there's no evidence. Well, if you look at my theory with my experience, which may not be a theory, it might be the truth, is that there's different types or branches of the Sasquatch. Some are able to slip in and out of this dimension, or fade out halfway into a tree and not be picked up by instruments, and some cannot. So it's my thought, and I'm pretty sure about this, is that the ones that can are doing what they can to protect the Sasquatch branches that cannot. Because if they were caught, it would just be, the end of them. Humans are not that friendly. You have the Sasquatch groups going out now with, I don't know if they've got weapons, but they go out into the field with the idea that they're dangerous. And so, of course, they're going to be putting on a show of aggression, or a posture of aggression towards any Sasquatch that might come, because they already almost expect them to be aggressive. But, I say, why don't you guys go out and in peace? There's so many stories of them being peaceful once the Sasquatch figure out that you're not going to hurt them.
Why do you think that some have the ability to do that with the energy and some do not?
I do not know for sure. I can only guess just based on experience. But even look at humans. Some are advanced and some are not. Spiritually, and some are telepathic, and some have not learned to be telepathic yet. They haven't learned their powers. All people have the power to be telepathic and empathic. All humans do, just some have not unlocked that yet. And perhaps the same is true with the Sasquatch people. Something like that. Or maybe new ones are being, what some suggest, that some are being dropped off on Earth to learn things from themselves, It's as a learning experience for the Sasquatch. That's part of it. They've got to learn how to evolve. And it makes sense that the Sasquatch people have been here so long, longer than humans, that that maybe that's what happens with humans after a million years, that we can develop the same ability to slip in and out of dimensions like them.
Well, why don't we talk about your UFO and ET experiences that you've had?
Let's see. I already talked about the one where I was healed. I'll talk about one of the first ones that happened to me when the very first time one showed up in my room, and I was asleep, and suddenly I felt like I was having a heart attack. My heart hurt. It was like a pull. And, I don't know what a heart attack is, so that wasn't that kind of pain. But it was in my heart center. And it was like such a strong pull that it just woke me up. And when I woke up and sat up, right at the foot of my bed was an extraterrestrial. I kind of believe now that he was from another dimension or higher dimension, but he was wearing a gown with a hood, and his face was covered. And again, I think it's because I either was frightened at first or something, or he did not want me to see his face because it was not human. But he was wearing a robe, and it was this interesting silver fabric that was not really sparkly and shiny, but texturized and almost glowing. But it was silver, and he had his left hand up, no, his right hand up, and I did not see anything coming from his hand, but I could just intuitively pick up that hand, energy was coming from it to my heart center and was pulling at my heart center. That's what was going on. The love I felt was like I had never felt before. It was an incredible sense of love. So when you feel that much love in such a phenomenal way, there's no fear. I did not feel fear. I only felt love coming from my heart center, not so much from him, but from my heart center. And what it turned out to be, that I found out later, was that we have chakras, and we have your heart chakra, and he was activating my heart chakra. And why? Because with an activated heart chakra, your abilities become stronger, and you become more spiritual by default because of all the love you felt. So when he stopped, and he started to just fade away. I can't say it any other way. And I said to him telepathically, or maybe I said it verbally, I don't remember because it felt the same to me. I said, who are you? What are you doing? That's what I said. And he said, Arcturian High Council. And then he said, initiation. That was that experience. And of course, when that happens to you, you're pretty much on a high for at least 3 days. I think when you're brought up to that level of energy and you feel nothing but love, you're also feeling peace. So in a way, it's easier to sleep.
Yeah, I guess it would.
Yeah.
Can you talk about the UFO that you said you saw really low to the ground? Can you describe what you saw on that?
Yes, that one was not frightening, but shocking. Like I said, I started to drive off the road and hit the mailbox. And then it turned out, because of my curiosity, I sped up the car and chased after it. And then it disappeared over a hill. But that one had a witness. So, later I found out that somebody had also reported it the same day, the same time, but they were on a freeway, I don't know, half a mile away, and saw it from the freeway when they were looking out the window. And they described the same one. But what happened was I was driving up a road, and strangely, this happened the day before I had a very bad accident at work, and was so bad that I was not able to really work at that job anymore. My wrist gave out, it snapped, just from repetitive use, because I was a muralist in Los Angeles, painting huge murals every day. Uh-huh. And my wrist just had given out, and the cartilage snapped. And of course, you can't repair broken cartilage in a wrist. You can put in a pin if the pin doesn't work, but you can't ever put pressure on it and use it again, really. So that was kind of it's like somebody knew I was about to go through a transitional phase, and it was time for the sighting, which can happen to many people. But what happened was I was driving, I was kind of looking up, as you do, going up a hill, and I saw above a row of houses. And I can't say for sure how high up it was. It could have been higher than I thought because this ship was massive. Now, picture Battlestar Galactica with the panels, and looks like it's been through a war and all that. It looked like that, and it was shaped more of a, think of an army tank that's elongated without the shooting guns, kind of that shape. And it was the length of about 2 houses, just hovering slowly above it. And what was strange was it looked like it was peeking out from coming out from clouds that were covering it, but it was a sunny day. So it was almost like you can picture if it was halfway into this dimension, so to speak. So it was faded only partly. So I don't know how big it was totally because only part of it was showing. And it had I would just remember it was kind of a gray silver color and had just all kinds of panels and stuff going on and windows. I drew a picture of it, later. And when I saw it, I said a bad word. I was cussing, and I don't normally cuss. I said, "Oh, beep." Okay. And I went like this and almost hit the mailbox, and I came to a stop on the side of the road, and then I kept seeing it moving. It was still going. And I go, "Oh my gosh." And because of curiosity and that's amazing, instead of being scared, I just put the car back on the road and started chasing after it up the hill. And then it went over the side of the hill where I couldn't see, and I never saw it again. I think in my future, I'm going to be having more experiences with the Sasquatch people. And I say that because awesome. I was out at the park today, and Chris, and I knew I was going to be talking to you guys, but I was just at the park chilling today, and it wasn't the same park as where I met the first Sasquatch people. And there had originally been like 3 or 4. The energy was too strong. I telepathically told them that I was just getting too sick. I couldn't do this. And that's when the energy lowered and only 1 Sasquatch was left. That's why I say that they've got really strong energy, and our bodies can't handle the energies because it's not the same frequency as us. So anyway, I was at the park today, and I was kind of got the idea in my head that, yeah, I think I'll go back to the park and just have another talk with a Sasquatch, see if they'll come by again. I'll see what happens. I don't know. So that's in my future. I'll probably be doing that soon. Can let you know what happens.
Right. Is this in Oregon?
No, I'm in Southern California.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. So we still got some good weather here.
Definitely. Very cool.
It's always good weather there, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I got a new coat the other day, and it was because the temperature is below 60, which really isn't that cold.
That's terrible. Yeah.
I know,
Sometimes
really.
in the evenings, and if you're close to the shore, it can get a little chilly. But so, do you think there's a connection between the Bigfoot and the aliens?
Absolutely.
Do you think?
I do.
And what do you think that is, or can you give us your explanation of maybe what that might be?
Well, it'd probably be the same reason why we have a connection with the ETs as well, is that when we develop the ability to talk to them, or communication-wise through telepathy at first to get people used to it, then they show up. And with the Sasquatch, because they've developed this, hundreds of thousands of years ago, and they're able to go from dimension to dimension, obviously they're going to run into nice ETs along the way, right? Because they've got that skill level, they've got that energy level. So yes, I definitely feel that they're connected and that they're maybe helping each other. Heard Native American tales about them being connected, but with me, because I'm not only very curious, I'm also a bit of a skeptic, and I have to experience it to believe it. And I think that as time goes on, there's going to be a rapid increase of people having more and more UFO sightings. Just everyday people that don't even go out to, they might not even think about UFOs, and they're going to start seeing UFOs. I think that's going to increase a lot in the next year or 2.
Yeah, I think we've said that on the show a couple times too.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I kind of feel that that's true. About open contact, that's probably out there a few more years. There may be already open contact with different, shall we say, government factions. But I think it's all about not wanting to frighten the public.
Right. That's why I think they're just going to pop up every now and then, just more people can actually see them until something actually happens.
Yeah, because we are from childhood. You'll remember, how many UFO movies have you seen that were positive versus scary as heck? Alien invasion movies. That's what we grew up with. So, for example, a relative, I said to a relative recently, oh, we're going to have more UFO sightings and maybe ET contact, in the future. And this person freaked out, like, no, I don't know what I'll do. I'll know. That's horrible. And I just like, why do you think that? It's because of all the darn movies they had been watching that were, yeah.
Yeah, they come down and they enslave us, or they eat us, or they just wipe us out.
Yeah, like, what is that? War of the Worlds is one of them.
War of the Worlds. Remember the old TV show V?
Yeah. That's right. That's right. Yeah, I'm that old.
The lizard aliens, from V.
Yeah.
But you got to think about Close Encounters of the Third Kind was necessarily not
Well, that was positive.
It was positive
sort
in the end. It was kind of scary, though. It was suspenseful.
Suspenseful, yeah.
Definitely suspenseful. But
in the end, it was a happy ending. So.
Yeah, because it was positive. It I think to draw you in, they had to put that fear factor in there, because a lot of people are just really, really like that adrenaline rush of fear.
Yeah.
But they shouldn't be getting it from the aliens.
No.
So, where do you think aliens are coming from? Are they coming from another dimension? Are they part of this world that we're in?
All of the above.
Okay.
I think some are from the future. Some are us from the future. I think that some are coming from other galaxies. Obviously using some type of portal method to get here. I think some are from other dimensions, also using portal methods and changing energy frequencies so that they can be in a more dense frequency, like a third or fourth dimension Earth. So all of the above. And I think that there are, people talk about Palladians, Arcturians, the Sasani, Andromeda, from Andromeda. And they could be coming from these places, but in a different dimension, like a fifth dimension. It's kind of like Mount Shasta. Mount Shasta is known for a lot of Sasquatch sightings. Mount Shasta is, and I've been there many times camping. Mount Shasta is also known for being the place where you will find a city called Talos and the Lemurians. And I did have an experience where I was taken out of my tent and ended up in the mountain. But I don't believe that it was a physical inside the mountain. I feel it was in that time and space of Mount Shasta, but in, like, say, the fifth dimension in that space. So it'd be the same as the other planets, is like, say, Jupiter. If you think that there probably are some aliens or ETs in Jupiter, or the moons of Jupiter, which is also different stories about that. But that doesn't mean that they're in the same physical reality as us. They're in that space area, in space and time, but in a different dimension. And of course, we have the capacity within us to be able to talk to them,
one thing that's always interested me with our solar system, when we talk about planets and the planet Earth, as far as we know, we're the only living creature out there, but we kind of know, or we kind of have a good idea that there may not be, or there is not life form on these other planets out there that we know of, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if that's true, why do you think there's planets out there where we're the only ones sitting out here like we are with life form?
I think that there's just so many different galaxies that, they call the Earth in the Earth solar system, and the planet Earth is the sweet spot. And at one time, Mars was considered also a sweet spot, according to the stories and legends, and that there used to be life on Mars, and then they destroyed themselves with war and whatever, which could have been millions of years ago. In fact, going to Mars, supposedly they're going to find evidence, if they have not already secretly found evidence of that there was life on Mars millions of years ago. So I think it just has to do with that sweet spot that's going to be able to sustain our bodies, as carbon bodies. At some point as we evolve, our bodies change to, say, silicon-based bodies. So it's possible that the ones that were in Mars had just a different composition in their bodies. And this could be all over. I mean, there's just so many possibilities of life and different types of life. Another alien that comes to our planet, maybe they're wearing suits because they're not of the right composition and frequency of our atmosphere.
What do you think about the idea of aliens living inside the Earth or inside planets?
There's people that talk about UFO bases in the ocean. Maybe that's what you're talking about, or even inside the Earth. I think anything's a possibility. I really do, And they've got such a high technology, if that's true, they can hide themselves easily from us, easily. All kinds of cloaking stuff.
Well, yeah, because we don't know what's in the bottom of the ocean even, so...
Oh, very little, apparently.
Who knows if we have a hollow Earth?
Yeah, who knows?
Maybe one of these days we'll find out.
I think definitely, as we evolve, we will. Yeah, definitely.
Well, Rae, we want to thank you so much for being here with us tonight. I didn't know if there's anything else you wanted to talk about or cover before we get out of here.
No, I think we gave people enough to chew on for now.
Oh, sure. Plus, they got your YouTube channel they can go to.
Yeah, they can get more stuff there.
Yeah, that's Rae Dove, RaeDove, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. I'll be sure to check it out myself.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, great.
See what you got going on.
I want to hear what that message was.
Okay.
Yeah, me too. Well, thank you so much again for being here with us. It was great talking to you tonight.
And thank you. It was great talking to you guys, too. Nice to meet you.
You too.
And stay in touch. Let us know if you get out there in the woods. And
oh, yes, definitely. I will let you know what happens.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Take care, Rae. Thank you again.
Oh,
Thanks, Rae.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right. Great having her on and talking about that Bigfoot encounter and her other experiences.
That was very interesting.
Always like to hear the Bigfoot encounters as everyone else does. So,
especially when you throw in a little alien adventure with you.
Exactly.
That was kind of cool.
Interesting. So again, thank you everyone for listening. We appreciate you all. Thanks for being here with us and supporting the show.
Yes, we do.
We have our Patreon out there. If you guys want to go check that out at Cryptid Creatures Patreon.
And get special stuff.
Brian, my friend, it was great having Rae on the show and great hanging out with you and having this episode.
Man, always fun. Always learning.
All right, my friend. Well, with that, let's get out of here. What do you say?
Yep. See ya.